Hello, good evening and welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this edition, International Monetary Fund set to announce receipt of draft term sheet from official creditors as Ghana likely to receive $600 million from the fund before end of month. Meanwhile, some businesses await creditors' deal to resume investments into Ghana.
When he was worried in 2022, 2023. But I see more requests for investments than I used to see in 2022. Now. Yes, now. So, and I'm saying that bad times are always the best time to invest.
Plus, wondering how much it will cost you to acquire books and other school supplies for your ward? We shall be telling you more on the Joy Business Shopping List. We have details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka. We can now settle and look at our stories now. And Ghana is expected to receive the second tranche of IMF cash of $600 million way before the end of this month. This was after external creditors reached a deal on restructuring of Ghana's debts. My colleague George Yafe has been following up on this issue and joins me in studio with more. George, thanks so much for joining me here on Business Live. Even before we talk about the disbursement, tell me more about where we've gotten to in relation to this story.
But let me also still try and backtrack a little bit because the reason why disbursement had delayed is that Ghana had struggled to secure that financing assurance that the IMF needs before the board can meet on Ghana to review our performance under the program, what we call the second review. Now, when they review our performance under the program called the second review, if we pass those targets under this program, then the board then approves $600 million and then it will be disbursed to Ghana. So it appears that over the period, there had been some disagreement among these bilateral creditors, especially China, when it comes to the cutoff date and some other thing before the table. So that's why you're seeing date being moved around already. But it appears that just over the past 3 days or 4 days, there have been some significant improvement made among these bilateral creditors on Ghana's debts. And that is why we've gotten here, that it appears that now that this agreement has been reached among these creditors, now these creditors can send the letter of comfort or the MOU to the board, and then the board will meet on Ghana, approve the $600 million, and also review our performance under the program, and then disburse that money to Ghana. And we are learning somewhere around January 18, and looking at the number of times you've seen the postponements dates. I know anyone who has been following this fund program will say, can we trust these guys? Now, let us also put it on record that the IMF has not come out officially to publish any dates about Ghana's board meeting or board program in terms of meeting. Because of the way things were very fluid, the fund had not come out because they were still struggling to get that memorandum of understanding or letter of comfort from these creditors. So behind the scenes, there were tentative dates being put out among the members, those who are negotiating. Those are the dates that we picked up and put it out. Why are we that convinced about these dates? Certain things are supposed to happen for that board meeting to come on in a country. As we speak right now, we understand that necessary documentations that the board needs to meet on Ghana has been finalized, has been sent. That pre-engagement has been done. Now, don't forget that the fund on countless times have argued that they want financing assurance. They want a deal reached on Ghana. What again we understand from those who are privy at the official creditor committee or the Paris Club engagement is that they've been able to reach a deal when it comes to the cutoff date for restructuring of Ghana's debt. And this time, China is on board. So based on all these dots that we put together and the fact that even the minister himself in an interview with Bloomberg had said that they have received this draft term sheet in terms of how our debts should be restructured and engaging the fund. In December, they proposed 2 dates. That was January 11 and January 18, depending on how the creditors can finalize agreements on a debt restructuring. So based on all these things, it appears that we are about 90% in getting the board to meet on January 18, 2024. Unless anything happens the last minute, the board is now set to meet on Ghana. And from what we have picked behind and all the rest, it appears that when it comes to the target of program performance, we've done credibly well. So the board is going to review our performance, and then they are going to advance almost $600 million to Ghana.
Even before we talk about the advancement of the fund, talk to me about the proposed debt restructuring with these credits.
So what again we have picked up, and these are the proposals. We understand that there wouldn't be any no principal or interest rate cuts. We also understand that it looks like there will be a freeze for about 4 years. So after 5 years, Ghana is likely to start meeting the obligations to these creditors. So if, for instance, we're servicing a facility over the next 20 years or 10 years, and that, don't forget that what Ghana was able to do was a debt freeze on servicing the commitment. So it appears that these creditors have agreed to an extension to up to 4 years. So after 5 years, we'll start meeting the necessary commitment to our bilateral creditors in terms of servicing these. These are what we are picking up. So it means the 5th year we'll make the necessary payment. And also, you're looking at an interest rate between 2 to 3% in terms of paying or servicing these debts. So these are the stuff that we've picked up, which are quite credible. And again, unless something changes the last minute in terms of Ghana raising an objection about these proposed terms, don't forget that the IMF, Ghana, and then the bilateral creditors are all part of this committee that's engaging. So they won't come out with something that Ghana might not be in favor of. So just a quick thing again, that we could see a freeze over the next 4 years, and then we'll start making the necessary payment. That is the 5th year. As of now, what we have picked up is that there isn't any cut on the principal or the interest payment cut. So unlike the domestic debt exchange program where we saw some cut on principals and interest, it appears when it comes to these bilateral creditors, for now, they have not reached any deal to take a haircut on their principal and the interest that Ghana is supposed to pay on its debt.
All right, so George, I want to know, when will the funds hit the Bank of Ghana's accounts?
So again, let's put it on record that the fund has not communicated to anyone that Joy FM or multimedia or creditors, this is when you're going to get the money. But we are trying to do some backtracking on how things have been. Normally, before the board meets, there are several pre-meetings that happens that sometimes the board meeting becomes like a formality. Now, normally, sometimes when the board meets and approve the disbursement, sometimes it even happens the same day. Maximum 2-3 days, the funds should be disbursed, at least maximum. So if this January 18 meeting should come on 19, 20, 21, 22, that amount should be disbursed to the Bank of Ghana's account in terms of the IMF cash for Ghana based on how Ghana has fared under the fund program.
All right, let me quickly chip in this with the Bank of Ghana meeting. We do know that in the coming days, somewhere Tuesday or so, they will start meeting for the MPC. Will this have any impact or directly or indirectly affect the outcome of the policy rate?
Not necessarily. Got the policy rate, the Bank of Ghana practices what they call the inflation targeting. So whatever policies that they are doing, it's about how would that help to drive down inflation. If what we're seeing so far is anything to go by and there are extrapolations about the inflation outlook, then that will indeed impact on their decision in terms of the policy rate. But again, back to the fund program, some will say it's not just about the money coming in, but it's about the structural reforms that government has committed to implementing. Don't forget that there are several projects from these bilateral creditors like China and other countries that have been frozen because they were still struggling to reach a deal on how this debt to be restructured. If this has happened, then it appears that those road projects that were stalled and all the rest, again, all other things being equal, we could see resumption of work on these projects. Investors outside who were not sure about the outlook and all the rest would now say that because of this deal, they will resume disbursement to Ghana. The World Bank is also coming on board to disburse about 350 or even maximum $600 million. If the World Bank is convinced about the economies, these other investors who are sitting on the fence will also come on board. So it's more about the commitment to fiscal prudence, especially in an election year.
Yeah.
That would trigger other things should also go forward and perform. Don't forget that even the fund itself, if you look at the program, they had projected the economy would grow at a certain rate. Inflation, it appears that Ghana has beat all those targets. So all these things will influence investors, will influence development partners to react. And that is what will contribute to the economy turning around, if I should use that expression, or the economy improving, and then the stability that we are all looking forward to. And sometimes not necessarily the money coming. The money will immediately provide some balance of payment support, help in stabilizing the Ghana city and government meeting. Don't forget that for the first time, this fund program, or the cash coming in, is not just for balance of payment support, but also some projects in the budget as well. So, yeah, that is how things are shaping.
All right, George. Thank you so much, George Wiafe, for that great input there. And of course, George is monitoring that space for us, and of course, shall be giving us more details as and when development unfolds. Thank you once again, George. Well, let's stay a while longer on this, because some businesses are waiting for this IMF deal before they resume investment in Ghana. Some of them are also looking forward to a strong pickup with the economy. Partner and law firm AB and David Fosudote has been speaking to Joy Business.
The FX issue, it will mean that we will have a longer period, at least for the first half of the year, of a stable exchange rate, and therefore it is good. And I do believe it is still the hope of getting. I'm hopeful we are going to get it. It's the hope of getting it, which has also helped stabilize the currency. So that's a very important thing to get. But of course, it means we must help businesses be able to be export-oriented, so we can generate more other sources of foreign exchange earnings other than just IMF coming to stabilize every now and then. Again, that's why I worry about the micro. So I think it's a good thing. But again, there is one thing that we have always missed it. A bad time in an economy is the best time to invest. It is the best time to plan, not to return to the... Yes, that's true.
Interesting.
It is actually the best time to invest.
And that's why it comes back to my next question about what are your partners, what are your investors, what are your economists and bankers outside saying about the Ghanaian economy now?
Maybe we should be talking more about what we tell them than what they are saying.
No, but I know that also that perception would impact on the investment, the partnership. So in terms of their independent assessment, that would impact on whether I should come in and do business with AB in Ghana here, or your client that you recommend to maybe an M-Pesa in Kenya wanting to come into Ghana and all the rest. What is, because I say that because of getting that independent assessments of the economy. The World Bank has said it, the World Bank has said it, government has said it, people have questioned whether it's true, the economy is turning around and all those things. But for these investors outside who have done business in Ghana over the years, what are they saying about the Ghanaian economy now?
Interestingly, everybody was worried in 2022, 2023. But I see more requests for investments than I used to see in 2022. Now. Yes, now. So, and I'm saying that bad times are always the best time to invest. So to some extent, turning around in terms of investment flow, I think is true. And many people are making inquiries, but they are still nevertheless worried. I mean, I had a mail as late as yesterday, and that's about the third time this year. Do you think Ghana is going to get this IMF deal? And should we go ahead with our investments or not? Yeah. The question, which is a deeper question, is where are the investments going? Which sectors are people making inquiries? Is it manufacturing? Is it the financial sector? Is it services? Is it agribusiness, etc.? Because where the investment go also determines how we perform in future. So yes, many people are making inquiries. That definitely, I mean, it's true.
It's interesting that investors are looking at this fund program before they come on board. This IMF program, and that is
quite. I shouldn't say an investor. All the investors I know are looking at it. They are looking at it not because they are getting that as a source of income, but as a source of
macroeconomic
predictability and stability.
Now, research lead at GCB Capital, Courage Buti, is optimistic Ghana receiving the next tranche of the $600 million bailout package will stabilize the city going into the next quarter of next year, or this year, I should say. He adds that more efforts will have to be made to prevent the abuse of these inflows to maintain confidence on the market. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
600 million plus 550 expected to come from the World Bank tied to this gives you at a goal about 1.15 billion. You recently had some 800 million from Cocoa loan syndication. So you are getting close to 2 billion in hard currency that can go into supporting your reserve, which has been in a very vulnerable state since this whole issue started. And that will provide, I believe, the pushing needed for this first quarter where the CD could be a bit more stable. And it has been. It opened the year on a stable note. These inflows would even pushing it further and will set the basis for that stability, even against the seasonality pressures immediately and going into the remaining quarters of the year. So it will be a good note for the city, and the delay in agreeing this deal would prove to be, if you like, a blessing in disguise, all the same, because then it gives us enough inflows, at least at this point. Not 600 million, I believe, is going into budget financing. About 300 million out of the 550 million from the World Bank is also supposed to target budget financing. So you are having in excess of 950 million, almost a billion, going to support the budget. Today's exchange rate, we're talking about 12, about billion cedis. That is about a quarter's borrowing plan on the T-bill market. So if that happens, it gives the Treasury the leeway to manage T-bill issuances and even try to reduce the interest rates on those issuances on the market. I mean, we've seen a decline now in those T-bill rates, but at a much slower pace. Inflation has receded quite significantly. And so that inflow will reduce the appetite for short-term liquidity immediately, which also will give them room to price down T-bills and be able to reduce their interest rate obligations, really. So it sounds like a good boost to start the year with, and we can only build on that. The only concern for us is that we are in an election year. We do not have to appeal some of these inflows, and then if we are able to hold the market confidence going forward, the confidence, or if you like, the improvement we all seek on the market would ultimately return. But it's the consistency of the effort and the data proving that we are making such progress that matters to investors at this point, and rather than the rhetorics.
You're still watching Business Live. Time for a breather. I'll be right back with more. Hello, welcome back to Business Live. Traders at the Accra Central Market are calling for a further reduction in prices of raw materials used in the production of books and other school supplies to make prices stable for consumers. Today on the Joy Business Shopping List, my colleague Jesse Enyura finds out the cost of acquiring books and other school supplies for your ward.
Today on the Joy Business Shopping List, we'll move our focus onto the books and school supply sector, where we'll find out the cost of books such as textbooks, exercise books, and other school materials.
As I was saying, the prices has gone down a bit this year. Previously, we used to sell Note 1, the 20 in the pack, 70 cedis, and it came down to 65. Now it's 60 cedis for the pack, which contains 20 pieces. And then the Note 3, we have different sizes. It used to be a bit higher, but it has come down. The smallest in it now is 12 cedis, like this one, 12 cedis. But it used to be 14 cedis. And this size used to be 30 cedis, but it's now 27 cedis. And some of the things, the price are down, but others are still, due to the importation, the duty on it. But we are praying that things will come down so that everybody will be able to afford it. But I think those who supply the raw materials, I think they have gone down. That's why those who are manufacturing it has come down a bit. And we're praying that it will be stable. It shouldn't go up again. I think it should remain so that people will be able to afford and buy for the awards when they are going to school. Some are already buying, but others are still waiting. Pens are still on the hold. It was the original big. It was 80 cedis. It's still 80 cedis. And we have the Nigeria one, 65. So those who are not able to buy the Ghana one, they buy the Nigeria one. And they are all equally good. My expectation is that they should get more funds, and when they are about to buy, they should buy freely and happily. If they don't have the money, they will be complaining. But if the money is there, they buy happily and we also enjoy our markets.
The price formerly was 65, but now the price have changed. Like this, 30 cedis. Like this, 30 cedis. So it's now 60 cedis. Because parents are complaining it a lot. So we have to do something for the parent to buy it.
Do you think it can go down?
Yes, we are praying that it should come down for the parent to buy. Because if you don't do it well for the parent, there are a lot. People are taking their children to school and the books are too expensive. They talk about it. The big pen, the carton is 80 cedi, the pack is 80 cedi. The pack is 80 cedi. We want them, they should do something because it's Ghana. Nigerian's home is 75. What about the Ghana one? It's 80 cedi. Okay. This one like this is 80 cedi. But the Nigerian's one are 75. While the Ghanaian's one is higher than the Nigerian's one. Formerly it was 75. And Nigerian's one was 65. While Nigerian's one is 75 and the Ghanaians is 86. They leave Ghana's one and they buy Nigerian's one. They complain it. So we want them to do something about it. The notebook, we have different prices. We have like this, 35. That one is the Ghana who do it. So if they give us to 30 cedi, we sell it 35.
Previously, how much were you selling?
Actually, they were giving it to us 28. But now they increase it to 30 cedi. So which we are selling it 35. And this one, like this, 20 cedi. They gave it to us 16 cedi. 16 cedi. 16 cedi. So we are also selling 20 cedi. But if you are buying plenty, we reduce it for you.
Those were some traders here at the Accra Central Market sharing with us the cost of acquiring books and other school supplies. According to them, prices have been relatively stable from the past year. So if you are looking to buy books for your wards ahead of the next academic year, this is a good time to do so. For Joy Business, Jesse Eyramagbapo.
I'm going to tell you what to budget for in terms of your expenditure. Senior Manager Financial Advisory at Deloitte Ghana, Dennis Brown, has advised businesses to prioritize budgeting in an austere environment to guide the operations. According to him, this is to ensure sustainability. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
It's very helpful for businesses to buy. In fact, the budget is not like a planning tool. You know, it's a planning tool, and every business must plan. More so when we are in an austere environment. We are talking about taxes. There are ways, all our tax laws have, let me say, loopholes. And, you know, depending on the way you organize yourself, you might be able to avoid certain taxes. Tax avoidance is legal. Tax evasion is not. And it all depends on the way you organize yourself. So if you factor all of this into your plans, you may be able to minimize some of the tax exposures that, you know, will hit you. And so, you know, you can use a budget to achieve some of these things. In an austere economy, it's even more critical to budget because if you make a little mistake, the consequences will be dire. You know, the market is not stable. In that kind of market that is susceptible to external shocks, we could be on a stable path, but one, you know, externality can hit us, and you know, we'll go off track again, and we'll see inflation skyrocketing again, and you would have made investments, and it will be difficult to, you know, recoup the kind of returns you want. So it's even more critical that as a business, you take your budgeting process serious in an austere economy. Yeah, of course. This is all down to the business's ability to predict what will happen in the future, and no one gets it 100%. You know, of course, there are various ways of predicting what might happen. Some rely on historical data. Yeah.
And that's how we part company here on Business Life. I am Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business.